the ET thing came. Because when I got there, I was doing all the promotion and advertising for Howie. And those people came in and he introduced me to them. And he told me, hey, go to this place and go talk to this guy, see what he wants and what he needs. So I went to Culver Studios to see this guy, Steve, and knock on the door. It's Spielberg Productions. I had no idea who this Steve guy was. Walk in the office, his secretary goes, sit down. So I sat down and I'm waiting there and waiting there and waiting there. And all of a sudden, it's kind of had a video game going on. And all of a sudden he goes, hey, tell that guy to come in here. So I go in there and he's playing a video game.
Now, how old were you at this point?
18.
18.
Yeah, probably 18 or so.
So you didn't bring bikes with you. This is your first meeting
first time
with Spielberg.
Yeah, I was just in my regular truck and I had my bike in the back of the truck. So I go there and he goes, this is what I want. Here's all the pictures of what I want the bikes to look like and stuff. And I asked him, how did you find us? We're kind of an obscure brand, And he goes, it was his niece or nephew knew somebody or had somebody and asked him, hey, he asked them, hey, do you know what bike we could get for this movie? And the kid said, Kuwahara.
See, I heard a different story, dude.
Yeah, I know. Everyone talks. That's not no. And
in Joe Kid on a String Ray, Mike Devitt tells a story differently than that. Are you saying that's not true?
No, it's a little different than that. I know about the riding the bike in the parking lot. And he stopped. Steven didn't do that. It was his niece or nephew told him which bike, and I can't remember which one it was. And so they looked for us, and they found everything bicycles, and that's when we were on Kashawa Street, and that's where BMX Action was on the same street, and so was ODI Grips. Was on the same street in Torrance.
Okay.
So they came there. I went there, and Steven was trying to explain to me all the stuff, and then he had storyboards on the wall. And he goes, this is what I want these kids to do. And I laughed at him. I said, there's no way these kids could do this. I mean, I have enough hard problems riding bike. He goes, how would you know? I said, I race these bicycles. And then he goes, can you show me? I go, yeah, I have my bike in the back of my truck. So Culver Studios is all these little bungalows and these big places where they do the movies and stuff. And there's these concrete loading docks, the concrete loading docks where you back a truck up to the concrete loading dock. Well, Steven's car was parked by one. So I did a couple of things, raced back and forth, and he didn't look impressed. So, over his car. And then he was like, whoa, really? And they got together, and I didn't know that was Kathleen Kennedy at the time, but that was Kathleen Kennedy and him had a talk, and they asked me, so where can we find more kids like you? I said, come out to a Wednesday night to Ascot. And there's probably 1,000 kids there and the next Wednesday, this big van shows up with about 8 people in it and another van. And then they come into Ascot, set up a table and a picture place where they can take pictures and stuff. And the guy would walk out to the track, pick riders out, bring them in, have them fill out a thing, take a picture of them, and say, if we need you, we'll call you on this day. So they picked, I think, like 10 riders, maybe. And then
were you one of them at the time, or
no?
You were on the fringe. You weren't even considered
supplying the bikes for the movie, put the bikes together for the kids in the movie. A little bit of technical things for the, what you should get done. But no, that wasn't my place. I was getting paid by Everything Bicycles besides getting paid by them. And so I went to the event. The Saturday they had like a dress rehearsal kind of thing. And they picked out the kids. They went, oh, I like Seppi and I like Grant and I like Chris and I like this guy. And that's the first time I saw Haro at that place. You know, because it was like, what are you doing here, Bob? He goes, somebody called me. I said, who called you? And I said, oh, he told me the lady's name. And I go, really? I didn't give you your name. He goes, I know. David Lee, which was one of my friends, gave him the number to call him. And because I think originally they wanted RL, because RL had done a bunch of TV stuff and things, but RL didn't want nothing to do with it, you know. And they called.
But wasn't Bob Haro an old man at this point? Wasn't he his late 20s or something?
No, Haro is.
When I say old man, I say
I think he's 4 years older than I am.
Okay,
maybe
so
3. Yeah.
So you were 20 at the time, 19?
19, 20, yeah, around there.
Okay, so he was 23, 24. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Well,
and
that's old for BMX.
I knew Bob because I did work for him. I met Bob at BMX Action, the old BMX Action, and we talked. And he is just starting the plates. He had just started doing the plates. And I went to his house, and so I would bend plates for him over the stove. He put the stickers.
That's awesome, dude. That's awesome.
He put the stickers on. I would bend the plates, throw it in a box.
This is back before it was Haro. It was back when he called them like race plates
factory
or something
plates.
like that.
It was called factory plates. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So I bent all those plates for them. You know.
How did you get the round for the handlebars? How'd you get that in
okay. There? The secret was you heat it up over the stove, and it get nice and pliable. And then we had a set of red line handlebars on the table, and you would grab it and you'd bend it, squeeze it, and then bend it down a little, and then you set it on the bars, and then it would cool off pretty quick, and you throw it in the box. That's how it was that.
No
easy.
shit. No shit, man. I learned. This is why I love doing this, man. I would never have known this unless I talked to you. So
yeah, we did it in his living office. He would sit in the living room and put the stickers on the plates and pile the plates up. I would take the plates over the stove, heat them up, bend them, put them in the thing, and then put it in the box. And then he would bag them later and put the little instruction sheet and 2 zip ties in there, and then he'd seal it up and send it off.
Putting those stickers on that plate must have been a pain in the ass, man.
He had it down. He could do it in a minute. Just he would sign it up. He's really, he's really mechanical with his brain and the way he thinks, and so everything was like that, So I did that for a summer with him, Like I said, I Howie 3 days a week, so I would.
Okay, I'm sorry. We got off on a tangent. So you show up there, Bob's there, and you're like, "Where the hell did you get? How'd you get here?"
Yeah, and we talked, knew each other. He goes, "Yeah, they want us to do this thing," and I said, "Yeah, it's a movie." And he goes, "Why are you here?" I said, "Howie sent me with the bikes and stuff." And then they show this little short lady with glasses, comes running up to me with a clipboard. She looks at me and she goes, "Are you Robert Cardoza?" And I said, "Yeah." She goes, "You got to go to wardrobe." And I went, "Wardrobe? What for?" "Oh, you're a principal stuntman for the Greg character, which was Casey Melton." So that's how that, and then we did all the scenes and stuff and did the thing. And we had done other weird little movies, kind of like Uncommon Valor, things like that, where you're in the background, no one knows who you are. And this was up front, So
now, whose bike was in Uncommon Valor? Jason Palmisi, or was it somebody else?
Well, you got to remember they took all the Azusa locals.
Yeah.
All the Azusa locals are in there.
Yeah. No, I thought it was Palmisi. That was his bike.
I think they used him as a character. I think he just stood there and smiled a couple times because it's only like 3 minutes long. That whole scene. It's just him working on a bike. He's sitting on a bench, bike, and working on the bike.
Yeah.
And I think that Gene Hackman walks up on him and says, "Hey, what are you doing? Because hey, I'm a coach now for BMX." He goes, "Well, we have this thing, all the story about
Gotta
it.
go get my son.
Yeah.
Okay, dude. So what? Do you remember your first day of shooting? I mean, was it a big deal, or were you like, yeah, I'm just doing this stupid movie?
If you ever, you probably don't know because Hollywood productions are pretty just wild. They're big. There's cameramen and grips and people that fluff you, and there's other, there's just 1,000 people to do all these jobs. There's a script girl, and there's another revision girl. There's a guy that is measuring things, and they do all this stuff. So there's a bunch of people. So it was a big production. So we did all kinds of scenes that we didn't see in the movie. And here's the best story. I think even Bob has told this story. They brought in a little stuntman guy. He was a man, but he was little, so he looked like a kid. And they dressed him up and said, he's going to do all the hard stunts because you kids can't do them. We looked at him like, really? No, I don't think so. So they had a scene where we were supposed to go up these stairs in these unfinished houses and then go out a window. And they had all this plywood about 5 feet down, and then another 3 feet down, and then another 3 feet down. So you'd come out, whoop, 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 was the actual stunt. So they go, yes, he's going to do this because it's too dangerous for you kids, and it gets even funnier. He goes, yeah, I've been doing this for 10 years, and I'm a professional, and I'm just the greatest man. You kids are dirt, We're all like, yeah, okay, whatever, So we're sitting up watching him set up for this thing, and we're going, you have to kind of pull up when don't tell me, I know what I'm doing. Okay. So we all sat back. This is Haro, David Lee, who was a pro BMXer, myself, Seppi, and we're all sitting there, and they set up, cameras are rolling, they hit action. The guy goes out the window and does this, whoop, right on his head. Boom! I mean, square on his melon. I mean, hard too. Cut. And they peel him off the thing, and I'm fine. It's cool. I slipped a pedal. He didn't slip a pedal. He just didn't know what to do. Didn't know what to do. He go, well, give me 10 minutes and I'll be fine. Let me, get my faculties. And so they reset this thing. About 10 minutes later, he goes, okay, ready to do it again. He goes out the door, and this time he hit so hard, he must have saw stars because he didn't even make a sound. He just went, ah! He went over literally, as you would go out the window and kind of fly, he just kind of went, poof, onto his head. We got in trouble because we laughed so hard. It would have came out in the film. We were laughing so hard. And we were working with the second unit director, who is Glenn Randall. Glenn Randall was famous for, if you remember Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah.
Remember the fight scene under the plane circles? Yeah. He's the big guy.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's the big guy in that fight. And Chuck Waters was the assistant director. Chuck Waters, if you remember the same movie, Raiders, the guy, remember when Harrison goes out the window and under the car?
Yes.
That's Chuck Waters. That was
the guy
Chuck
driving. The guy that he kicked that. Yeah.
He's
okay.
the one that climbs down. That's Chuck Waters. So those two were our second unit directors. They were both like, oh, God, we got to do this. And he looks over at us. He goes, you think you could do that? And we all laughed. Like, we could do it in one take. And the character that was playing to go out the window was David Lee. David laughed at him and goes, that'll be easy. That's no problem. So they set up the shot, put David in the spot. Action. David goes, whoop, out the window, dink. Off the second one, dink. Down to the bottom, dink, and off he goes. Cut. Print. Never saw it in the film.
Really?
Yeah. So somewhere That tape exists.
Was there anything that sketched you guys out, or you guys no problem with anything?
No, we didn't. It was just fun to do, It was, like I said, we've done commercials. I did Schwinn commercial. I did a McDonald's commercial. I did a couple other things like that, and then a couple like TV shots and movies that I never saw. I don't know what happened to them.
Yeah.
We lived in an area where there was a lot of producers and stuff. So they'd grab kids off the street. Hey, you want to come do this? We'll give you $50 or something like that. But and that's another reason we got ripped off in the ET thing, is none of us were SAG members or Stuntmen's Association members. So we were basically scabs, and they paid dirt. They didn't pay. I think they paid the kids $50 a day or something like that, or not even that. Probably I think it was like $40 a day to come out and do that. I was kind of lucky. Me and Bob got. In fact, I found out later Bob got more than I got because I was getting paid by Everything Bicycles and them.
Trip out, man.
So all that stuff. But yeah, all that kind of stuff we did. And like when on the end scene where we're all flying in the air and then we land, that was done in a studio. About 3 weeks later, after we had done all the shooting, we were called in to do this thing. And in fact, Bob couldn't show up or wouldn't show up. I don't know what the deal was. So we got another friend to come out and help us, Bo Blackie. His brother Steve ran Bicycle Source for a while. He played Bob in that section. When we all slide.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you were already out of school when this movie came out, right?
Yeah.
You were an adult.
Yeah.
That's too bad, man. If you were in high school when this happened, dude, you could have been the bee's knees, man. You could have been popular in high school. So after the movie comes out and it's a smash hit, and you're hitting the track, are you like a local celebrity now when you're hitting the track, or are you just like another rider that no big deal?
Yeah, it was semi-celebrity. People, oh, you did that movie? Yeah. But it was mostly people would come visit from Europe, or people would come from the East, and they would be like that. But most of everybody in our area, they didn't really care. They didn't, it was just like